Good evening. Thank you for joining me. Go ahead and get settled in, and we shall start shortly. I'm just going to be putting up in the interim our weekly poll, and that poll is always optional. If you choose to fill it out, that's really up to you. But it's very helpful for me when I create syllabus for upcoming classes. So welcome into this space. This is Friday night with SocietyX, and my name is Phynne Belle. I am your instructor for Get Inspired and Speak Up, which is equal parts writing prompt that's generative, and a tiny bit of sharing at the end, should time allow. So I am a co-director with the Poetry Global Network, as well as the organizer of my own platform, which is called Fincabulary. It brings poetry and poetry events to the global community. In every session for Get Inspired and Speak Up, we focus our energies on building effective skills that get us right into the effective meat of writing. What we begin here in this class could eventually turn out to be the inception point to a work that you might flesh out and eventually get published or share in an open space. This is also the space where I would like you to develop and strengthen your knack for storytelling, both written and spoken. So usually each session would go like this. First, you're going to be given an initial spark. It's going to be 5 prompts in rapid succession. Next, we will engage in what I like to call quick writing sprints, where you free write in a very comparatively smaller period of time. And the reason for this period of time is it allows for you to just do a lot of free writing and very little editing. We want to keep the editor outside of the session, at least for now. You can go back and polish up your pieces over the course of the week. And finally, as I said a while ago, time permitting, we will have an opportunity to come up for you guys to jump up to the live and for you to share anything that you've written here in this session or anything you've written on previous weeks. So at this point in the class, we started about sometime last year, around the same time, and we were starting with very short periods of writing, 3 minutes each to each prompt. What I'd like us to concentrate on now is kind of trying to prolong that period, sustaining that writing, sustaining that period of free writing. And this will also allow us more time to chew on and process and contemplate the prompt that is given to you, as well as form questions of your own. So the prompt is the starting point, and you are asking the prompt questions, you're asking yourself questions, and this leads to the next step of your writing. The prompt is the beginning, and every successive question helps you build the story, build the character, build the universe. So again, how this session will go, I present the prompts first, and you will take a moment to digest it before writing to it. Please, no editing at this point. You could edit it at a later time. I highly recommend you do that during the course of the week. If you have any questions, because this is only a 1-hour session, please feel free to contact me. I will put all that information in the chat, how you can do that. When we've completed all the prompts, if time allows, please do feel free to share. You'll notice on the right-hand side of your screen, there's a few icons. At the very bottom, there is the speak icon with a raised hand button. You just click on that, and I add you to the live at the end of the session. So before we begin, please join me in taking a deep and cleansing breath through your nose. Hold it for a moment, and then blow it out through your mouth in a big whoosh. So let's do that. Close your eyes if that helps you. And we're going to breathe in through our nose and out. We will begin with a warm-up. The warm-up is going to be about 2 minutes. And our whole theme for this week is word association. So our warm-up is a word association. I would like you to write down the first 5 words that come to mind when you see these names/words or phrases. You have 2 minutes to do this. The 3 phrases are morning star, follow the leader, and Picasso. You could pick one of these, you could pick all 3 of them, but write the first 5 words that come to mind. So I'd like you to begin now. You have 2 minutes. I will put all that information in the prompt. Please start. At all, please feel free to put them in the chat, as well as anything that you'd like to share of your writing. If you don't want to jump on later on, please do add phrases or lines from what you've written into the chat. Time is up on the warm-up. I hope that got your imagination started, your pen revved up, and we will move right into the first official prompt. So I'd like you to use the combination of the phrases and word associations that you jotted down from the previous exercise, from the warm-up. And I'd like you to please introduce us into the beginning of a unique scenario. Using this combination of phrases and word associations that you jotted down previously, I'd like you to introduce us to the beginnings of a very unique scenario based on what you wrote down. I'm going to go ahead and give you 8 minutes to write to that. The clock begins now. I will put that right into the chat. We are now at the 5-minute mark. So go ahead and continue writing. You have 5 more minutes to do so. Hi there, Terry. Hi there, Prasanna. Thank you for joining us. We're almost closing up on the second prompt. So I'm going to go on to the third prompt in a bit, but I'm going to reintroduce you guys to the second prompt because you need to have done a little bit of the warm-up in order to do the second prompt. So if you're in the middle of writing something else, continue free writing on that, and I will re-explain the warm-up and the first prompt to you. Out of curiosity, do you guys have access to the chat prior to you coming in, or do you need to for me to repost that? Let me know in the chat. Okay, so time is up to write on that first prompt. Since we have new people join us, I'm going to reintroduce a few new things. We are writing down in rapid succession to the prompts that I give. You're going to be given about 8 minutes each to write to them, and then we will move on to the next prompt. So if you guys didn't come in when I announced about the poll, there is a poll, which is optional. You can answer it. It helps me to to plan my syllabus every week, to kind of give you guys a challenge. And this one involves asking about your writing practice. Since it's 2023, we're trying to refreshen our daily writing practice or our regular writing practice. I'm kind of curious how often you guys write. And so I give an option of once daily, if you do it once weekly, or you just do it occasionally if you're an occasional writer. So do let me know. It is completely optional. So what we did to begin the class is we did a warm-up. We did a word association. If you find yourself with extra time, go back and do that. And what that warm-up was for you to write down 5 words that come to mind when you see these names, words, or phrases that I provided. And so if it didn't show up in the chat a while ago, these are the 3 phrases. I'm going to post them right now. They are Morning Star, Follow the Leader, and Picasso. And so just give me the first 5 words, write them down as they occur to you. And so the second prompt that we just got finished with was in conjunction with that. Those words that you jotted down, as well as the 3 phrases, a combination of those. Pick out a few that stand out to you, and I'd like you to please, using them, introduce us to the beginning of a unique scenario. I gave you 8 minutes to do that. So now we are now on the 3rd prompt. I'd like you to start the 3rd prompt. If you have time at the end of the session, please go back and try to do the warm-up and the 1st prompt. If not, this is something for you to do as your part of your take-home assignment. So the 3rd prompt, I would like you to imagine that you exist in a world where daily someone uses a randomizer. They use a randomizer to determine what you are supposed to do that day. I'd like you to imagine that you exist in a world where somebody goes daily, they pick you out, you line up, they pick you out, and they use a randomizer, and then they assign you what you're supposed to do every day. So go ahead and write to that. You have 8 minutes to do that. So in answer to Prasanna's question, at this point, for this prompt, I would like you to write either a story or a poem, whatever most moves you. But usually in this time period of 8 minutes, it allows for the beginning of a poem or even a whole poem or something akin to flash fiction. So just start something. What's important in this session, I don't advise that you stop to edit. I just like you to do a lot of free writing because I like you to allow for the period between classes, between this week and next week, for you to fine tune what you wrote. So everything here is about free writing. Our 8 minutes are up. So please go ahead and tie up any loose ends with this prompt. I hope that you were able to find a really, really interesting story embedded in the thoughts of this prompt. And I think this was a good one to start asking yourself additional questions. So, always keep that active. Let's revisit it a bit. So I said to imagine you exist in a world where daily someone uses a randomizer to determine what you're supposed to be doing that day. So, some questions that may pop up, how did they begin this practice of using a randomizer? What had happened in the past that caused them to have this structure? Who are the people in charge? What is your role in this? So, there's a lot of ways that you can go to explore further and begin building a world within just a simple prompt. So we're almost halfway there. We have 2 more prompts to go, and then I will be assigning you your optional homework, and I will explain a little bit more if you've never been to this class, what the homework deal is all about. So prompt number 4. I'd like you to tell us the outcome of an impulsive kiss. Tell us the outcome of an impulsive, spontaneous kiss. Was it promising? Was it disastrous? Did something else happen? Really explore that. Stop and think about it for a moment. Begin to build up the momentum of that story. Give it a little pause, and then start writing. So 8 minutes to do that. Please begin now. Start concocting that story. Now is a good time for the reminder that if at any point during these free writing exercises, your inner editor wants to be really sneaky and sneak back in and make you pause and check grammar, check punctuation, check if the thought sounds correct. Tell it to go back outside. It has no room here. You just want to free write. We do all the editing later. So just capture all your thoughts on the paper. But looks like we might have enough time at the end to share out live. So if you want to save any of your pieces for at the end of the session, we're going to all hop on the live and share. Okay, folks, time is up. I can't wait to hear what you wrote to that one. You're having connection problems. Yeah, I see you. I see your name dipping in and out, Terry. So if you have any problems at all, please let me know in the chat. I'm happy to share the prompts with you via message or email. Just remind me if you missed some of them, okay? I'll be happy to email them to you or message them. So looks like we have one more prompt to go. Before we do the last prompt, I'm going to introduce you to the homework, the optional homework. So the optional homework is an additional thing that I'd like you to do during the week, in between your normal life, your job, and your other writing projects. I like to up the ante a little bit and challenge you to make this your project for the week. So usually what happens with the optional homework is that it is a culmination of the 4 or 5 prompts that I give, and they try to connect them together. So your homework, should you choose to do it, again, it's optional. It's just something to boost and continue your writing practice through the week and sustain it. It's going to be simple but tricky at the same time. So the simple part is I would like you to derive elements from each of the 4 prompts and the warm-up that I gave above, or extract snippets from each of your stories that you were writing within this session, or poems, stories or poems, and I'd like you to weave them together. I'd like you to weave these snippets or these lines that you got from the various prompts, stories that you made. And I'd like you to make a patchwork or knitted poem or a patchwork tale that connects these different occurrences. So basically, we're jumping from, say, for example, something having to do with the morning star or following a leader, to making this unique scenario about these words, to adding in the universe where there is a randomizer that determines your life to ending potentially with a kiss. And then, of course, the last prompt, which I'm about to give you. So again, the optional homework before we get into the last prompt is for you to derive elements from each of your stories or poems the short poems that you created today. And I'd like you to knit them into a super poem or knit them into a longer version of a flash fiction prose. I hope that made sense. If it didn't make sense, please feel free to email me. Um, I'm happy to discuss that more with you. For those of you who do have contact with me on social media, that's a good way to contact me as well. I will post that in a bit. So let me give you your optional homework written down. You can copy and paste it. And then we will move on to the last prompt of the evening. So our last prompt of the evening is I'd like you to set your next story or poem at a cocktail party. And this is a cocktail party where, there's conversation going around, people are chatting in groups. And in these various chats, or one of the chats at least, a rumor grows really outrageously, fantastically, the way that rumors tend to do. And in the course of the evening, from passing from group to group, from mouth to mouth, it begins from a seemingly innocent conversation and grows. Tell me what happened. So set your story or poem at a cocktail party where a rumor grows outrageously in the course of that evening, beginning from a very simple or innocent conversation. So write to that for 8 minutes, please. I'm going to start the clock right now, and we should have about 5-ish minutes to be able to share at the end of the session. So since we are almost hitting the last 10-minute mark of the session, I'm going to tell you about the jumping onto the live while you guys are still writing, just to save a little time. So if you guys want to join me on the live and share out loud pieces that you wrote today, you'll see on the right-hand side of your screen, there is the speak button. You could go ahead and press that right now. And I'm going to accept your request to go on the live. That should take a few seconds. So you have to just bear with me. Some people have left the session thinking that they got booted out. That's not the case. You get booted out momentarily. You get booted back in after they do your sound check. So if you'd like to share something out loud, hit that speak button, and that's the icon with the raised hand. The poll is that the majority of our class does once daily writing practice. I am very proud of you guys. Keep it up. Keep up the good work. It's not allowing you, Terry. No worries. I know. Sometimes Webinar Jam can be a little weird. Do you want to try one more time? Yeah, it's going to boot you for a little bit, and it's going to allow you back on. So give it a little time to boot you and then re-invite you back in. That's what it does. It's weird. No worries. Sometimes it does that. Most everybody I've known, if it's their first time back after a long time, There's always something with the system. And after the next time you come in, I don't know if it updates by itself, then it allows you on. That's happened to quite a few people in our community, where they get booted off and they never return. And then the next session, following week, no problem. So I hope it's just something that Webinar Jam is updating. But I do hope to hear your poems or what you've written at a upcoming event. So there's always that. So folks, that concludes all our prompts and all our homework. Let's see, what time is it now? We have a good...
I don't know that one.
Oh, Alexa's trying to respond. We have
Here
a good...
is an answer from an Alexa.
Oh, goodness. We have a good 6 minutes left on our session. So if you have any questions, please post them in the chat. If you would like to use this time to continue writing, please feel free to do so. If you wanted to hop on the live and share a few lines, I'd be happy to hear them. But otherwise, we are concluded for today. I did also post in the chat, if you want to sign up for the next session, you could do that either through Eventbrite or you could do that through the SocietyX page. So I'm just going to go ahead and wish you guys a very good evening. Feel free to hang out here, continue writing until the 5 minutes is up, and then we'll